What's happening? It's Explicit Critics. Today we're going to review the leak that was in the theater that we were at because it was massive and it was my eyes from seeing this movie. We watched Birth of a Nation and I can proudly say that it's the fourth movie I've cried in, and for good reason. If you didn't watch spoilers, then you don't know what the fuck this movie is about. Fuck that. We're just going to talk about everything and anything that was in this movie. So, I don't know why you would give a fuck about that, but that's what we're doing. How'd you feel about it?
I felt really proud of this movie because I believe it's a movie that needed to be done. And I like the fact that it was rated R so that it could kind of...
this couldn't have been made properly if it wasn't rated R.
Well, that's true, but I feel like a lot of times with certain, like, slave movies and movies about like justice and trying to like gain freedom, it's usually like PG-13, and then they try to like sugarcoat certain things.
Oh, I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, this movie wouldn't have been as impactful if it was PG-13.
Yeah, so I think that to me, I didn't think the movie was slow at all. Like, there were those moments that, to others it would seem like it's like boring and slow, but to me, I think it had like the perfect...
Fuck that and fuck you if you think this movie's slow.
But it's
was
just
it
like,
going in for an action thriller?
No, I get that, but I just think it had the perfect balance of what needed to be seen and what, like, it captivated everything to me. But it just left me feeling like very just proud of the movie, kind of in short words. There's like a lot of little things about this movie that I liked, and the different scenes and like where it kind of like puts you in that state of mind and that emotion. It made me more reflective of myself, of kind of seeing how, yes, as a black woman, when people say, oh, well, our ancestors fought for this and all this stuff, it's like a lot of times take that for granted, and this kind of like put me in check.
Nate Parker, he was the writer, director, and star of the movie. I love you, man. Does that sound gay? I don't give a fuck. I have the utmost respect for you. I know you'll probably never see this, but thank you for making this movie. It was phenomenal. And not in phenomenal like I enjoyed it, because I didn't enjoy it, but there's certain movies that you need to watch and you even need to rewatch, and this is one of the movies that you have to. Will you like it? No, because, well, actually there are some parts to like in this movie. Unlike a lot of slavery movies, there are parts that are actually kind of gratifying, but it's not one of those movies that you go to see to have a good time, because you're not going to have a good time. But I don't want to say I'm proud that he made this movie, because I can't really say that, but I'm so glad that he made this movie and had the balls to make this movie. And it's a Fox Searchlight film, so yeah, it was picked up at festivals, and it's not going to get the type of shine that like a movie even like 12 Years a Slave did, because that had like a lot bigger production behind it. It had well-known like composers. This is coming from a director that hasn't directed really anything else, and it was amazing. I thought it was amazing.
I mean, him as an actor, like I've really only seen him as a lead role in this movie and then The Great Debaters, but just like from his acting, you could kind of get an essence of who he is, of like a person. So like him writing this and directing it was just, I think it was perfect. Like, I don't think anyone else could have done it better. But I don't know. It was just like when it started off with like when he was a kid, and then how he was they found out that he can read, and then they put him in the house. But when I think Elizabeth was her name, like her husband died, put him back out in the field, and then showed that like,
which he's a bitch motherfucker.
Yeah. And then just seeing that, it's like, well, you know, you're just mainly property, and I can put you wherever you please. But he still worked hard, and I liked how like that developed. Like, yeah, even though like picking the first one, like you got stuck with it, but then he just like kind of grew into it. I like how they transformed that, and when he was a kid, and then he grew up. I forgot the girl's name, the one that becomes his wife. I don't know the actor's name, like saying it fully, but I liked her and how her story kind of developed too. But there's just so many parts, I don't know if I can pinpoint all of them that really like stuck with me in this movie, because I really like this movie.
This movie is the real fucking deal. Like, a lot of times one of the tropes in like a slavery type movie is you have that like white character, or like a few white characters that are like the sympathetic ones. Like, you can be like, oh, they're helping the black people. Fuck that. This movie puts it how it really is. There's maybe one person that you can be like, okay, they're alright, or they're a little bit better than everybody else, and that was that old lady that taught him to read. But that's the only one that you could even make an argument for.
Yeah, but I don't think and then the reason why it was like only maybe is because then you have the fact that she's a woman, kind of thing. Like, even though I think I think that so, because like how they portrayed a lot of things in the movie, especially with the with when Nat was like helping, that he picked up that doll for that, when that doll dropped and was handing it the kid, and that guy comes and strikes him, and like his wife was like saying something, but he just talked over. I feel like sometimes that's how it was. It's like, even though if I want to say something or whatever, it's still like whatever, like you don't have a say in it, kind of thing.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna fuck that. I'm not just gonna take blame off of women.
No, I'm not saying that. Like, no essence of that. But it's just like one of those things. It's like she stayed silent because of certain things, and I feel like she spoke out when she knew she could get away with it. But other than that, it was more like, okay, well, what else can I do? Like, she was just not taking ownership for herself. She didn't want to be in that category, I guess.
But other than that, fuck all the white people in this movie. That's how you feel, and that's how it is. But some people might be like, oh, his master was alright. Yo, fuck his master, man. Fuck that. Stupid. And I don't like Armie Hammer as an actor, but he was pretty good. He was his master. He did a pretty good job as his part. Just a super drunk master that
all the time
could have easily been done like he got done in the movie.
And like, what made me like, I already knew it was gonna happen, but that point when Nat's wife got raped and then beat by those 3 guys, and then he comes to his master saying like, you know, like she's hurt real bad, and he goes, what's wrong? And he's like, 3 guys. So he like lets him go, but gives him the pass and all that to go. But then when he comes back, like let him know like, oh, you know what, I did this as a favor, and not every person would do this for you. Yeah. And that's like, that's
he's
so
still expecting gratitude for
something that, I don't know, that. But even when they were going to preach, or when he was going, like taking him to preach to those different slave owners.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, like, I think a lot of times
he was a slave doubly. Like, he was a slave because he was a slave, and then he's having to
say what they pretty much want to say.
But he's having to be the master of these other slaves, because he's basically saying, like, what you're doing is completely fine. You're getting beat every day, you're getting whipped, raped.
You're
like, this is what's happening, and this is what's supposed to be happening. So that was great that they put that in the movie, because I don't think a lot of other movies would even have thought to put that shit in there.
Well, even that, and
how much of like hypocrisy was in that. It was fucking mind blowing.
I feel like when they went to the different plantations and stuff, I really, like, I don't want to say I liked it, but I like that they showed when they had those two men in that little like shack kind of thing in the barn, and that guy didn't want to eat, and then he like takes out all his teeth with the hammer and stuff like that, and force feeds him. It's like, I think a lot of people are just geared who don't know about like slavery and stuff. They just like, oh, they just got whipped and then the women got raped and that's it. But it was like a whole different level. It was like there's torture and all this stuff, and it's like things that we say, if we say no, then someone could protect us, but they could say no and they get beat for it. And I think showing that kind of put a lot of perspective, and especially with that not the same scene, but after when they came back from that plantation, that guy that they shot in the head because they were looking for the runaways, and then he was right there. It just like, you can see the buildup of like, okay, it's like I see all this stuff, and then they still expect me to speak positively of what they're doing. Like, I don't know. I think that was good.
I can't even keep track of how many times I cried in this movie, but I know the first time was after the dude got his teeth fucked up, and then he gave that speech that he was rallying them, but these white people are standing around thinking that he's preaching for them.
Yeah. And
that was a great scene. And he's like crying the whole time he's preaching.
Yeah. There's just so much. Like there's another one when they had that little girl, have that black girl with a leash around her, and she just pulling her around. That like just like made me all disgusted, because it's like, it's so...
It was so nonchalant.
Exactly, like they didn't
have
care.
a second thought about it.
It's like, oh no, this is right. Like,
and it was perfect property. Because even how they framed that, like it went to his face, like he's seen it before, but it clicked in his mind, like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. The wife, I think her name was like Sherry.
I want to take that back. Nat Turner. Well, I'm not a Nat Turner scholar, but I knew a decent amount of him before I saw this movie. But Nate Parker in the movie as Nat Turner, he definitely wouldn't have thought what I just said. Like, he was upright and as moral as you can fucking be. He wouldn't have been like, that's fucked up. He would have... It's amazing how, like, innocent he was as far as, like, being pure. That's what I want to say. Like, he wouldn't even have thought, like, that's fucked up. He would have thought about it like, I can't believe this is going on, like, happening to my people. This is so unjust. He wouldn't have been thinking anything vulgar like I just said.
Yeah, I feel like, because, like, where he came from, he didn't have it like everyone else had it, at, like dirt. I don't want to say, like, other plantations are clean, but, like, one of those, like, just shitty plantations that they really didn't care. Like, they would treat them, like, however they felt and whatever. But I feel like with...
Well, and he got kind of, like, special treatment because they saw that he had abilities that they didn't think other slaves had.
Yeah. And that was actually, like, I don't want to say a shocker to me, but something that, like, kind of stood out, like, the fact that someone who saw him reading, like, he had the ability to read, they actually, like...
harvested that instead of
like, like, oh, you shouldn't be able to read, and, like, I don't know, hit him before he can't read anymore.
Well, that's why his mom's was saying, I'll whip him right away next time I see him.
Yeah, so I like that. Like, if, that was, like, a little bit of light shone in that movie. And then I like the wife, like, Cherry Ann. I think her name was Cherry Ann. Yeah, his wife. I liked her, even though, like, she got beat and, like, most likely she got raped by all three of them. She still was like, you know what? Like, she's... I don't know, she...
holding him back.
Exactly, like, don't kill it. Like, you need to let, like, God handle it and stuff like that. Like, I like that because then it's like...
Yeah, she told him, if you live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword.
Exactly.
But then later on in the movie, when he's like, I've been called to fight, she understood like, that, she knew. Too.
But it's like, she kind of knew, like, the timing wasn't right. Like, So, I liked how, like, she was a strong woman in that character, even though, like, she got beat really bad. And to me, like, the fact, like, he, like, it seemed like both him and her were still able to find a little bit of happiness, even though, like, the shitty situations that they were dealt with. I didn't really realize that one guy, that one slave that was at the other one, the one that, I don't even know what his name is.
He kind of had the fucked up scars by his eye and shit. The
Yeah,
big one.
Yeah. I was actually, I didn't recognize him until, like, they started doing the meeting and stuff, and then how, like, it kind of turned him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because he was the only one at that first preaching thing that he went to that wasn't rallying. He's like looking at him just straight face, like, what the fuck are you preaching about? Yeah.
And there was.
Everybody gave
a good
Oscar-worthy performances. Well, okay, almost everybody. Everybody that got enough shine. Like, I feel like a lot of people didn't get enough screen time, or not enough. It's just they didn't have enough to warrant a great award. But fuck, Nate Parker definitely does. It was perfect.
Well, even that scene too, like with Gabrielle Union had like a small part in this. Like it was more like cameos rather than she actually had a part. But when she got married and how happy she was, but then when that one scene with when he holds that party and they make what's his name, the Masters guy.
Oh, I can't remember what his name is, but it's Armie Hammer that
him
is the actor.
When he like is trying to like portray like, okay, you know, my slaves are being treated right, like the words in them and all that stuff. But then it comes to that party and he's trying to impress those people. And then when the guy wants to like have his way with Gabrielle Union's character, like he just goes for like.
Oh yeah, he's like, I'll lynch every single one of you.
Like
he totally switched up. Like if you fuck up my night and with these important people in my house, I'll lynch all of you. Like the respect that he had for him up to that in the movie, he's like, I don't give a fuck about it. Yeah.
And I think when he finally had like the last straw is when they were like shunning him for baptizing a man that came to him pretty much.
Yeah.
And then
the only thing about that, this is one of the few movies I've ever seen where I really don't have anything negative to say. If I had to pick something, if you put a gun to my head and say, this movie isn't flawless, you have to pick something, that would be the one moment that I thought they could have done a little bit better, just because why did he feel the need like he had to baptize him before the master got back? Like, why was it, what, is he going to not go to heaven if he doesn't get baptized? It just didn't make sense to me as far as like from a Christianity perspective.
Yeah.
Just because, really?
Yeah.
He's not Catholic. It's not like he's going to hell if he doesn't get baptized right this second. So it just didn't make sense to me.
I think maybe the only reason they did that is to show not him getting whipped, but it's like him actually being
how much he was a novelty. They didn't feel he was a real preacher. They just felt like, oh, he's the...
Like, he could say everything, but he doesn't go what we're going through because he's kind of a decorated slave.
Yeah, but he's also... They're trying to say, you're not even worthy to preach to a white man. Yeah. That's why you have to only preach to blacks over here.
Well, no. Oh, no, okay. I get what you're saying, but I'm talking about, like, to set up that scene so that everyone can see, like...
Oh, no, I know. That's why I'm saying it... I could say, oh, that was the weakest part, because you know it was there just to set up that plot point. I don't know if it was really there because that was integral to the plot. It was just, something like this has to happen, so he goes through that. Yeah.
And I like that. Yeah, like I like that because then that's when you knew, like, okay, things are like gonna change. You already knew. You already knew, but it was just like you knew that was like the point and that was the scene, and then everything was gonna how like his stories. Well, I guess. I don't want to say the peak of his story, but whatever. Like, that's how it flows.
One thing I do want to mention is I ain't a Christian. I used to be when I was younger, but I'm definitely not now. I feel like you have to respect him regardless of your religion, atheist, whatever the fuck you are in this movie, though. Yeah. And he was solidly a Christian.
Yeah. And it's like he
Like, I don't
knew
think,
it forwards and
certain
backwards.
movies where you're like, oh my gosh, they're just preaching way too much in this movie, and it's like, why is it so much about this? You should not feel that way about this film.
But I like that the fact that he admitted it though, like when he was a kid and stuff like that. Like you could see, like, okay, yeah, he knows it because they're telling it, and then he kind of memorized it. But then, but then when it kind of progressed, like he's still saying it like okay, how it's just kind of reading it word for word, and then more towards the end or like the middle towards the end, it's like you could hear it in his voice how he believed it, and when the guy was like going back and forth with him with different scriptures, he had like one right away, and it's like you knew, like he understood what it meant instead of like I'm just saying the words. Yeah. So that was really good.
Well, you could see the progression of him realizing what certain passages actually meant. Yeah. To what he had been brainwashed his whole life to think that they meant.
Yeah. I think when they had that one meeting and they were starting to rally together, and they kind of like fast forwarding through the movie when they were saying like I'm waiting for the sign, and then that night comes, and even when they had the meeting though and that little kid came, it's like you already knew that was gonna be a problem just because, especially when he said like, hey, this is grown folks stuff, but he still stayed anyway, and he like he allowed him to stay. He's like, hey, whatever, David was a boy too, but I don't know, like everything was strong until it's like he got scared and he knew like what was going to happen to him. So he rather just kind of pretty much snitch and hide.
Oh, it wasn't pretty much. He did snitch.
And then it's like, well, I'm just saying pretty much
I want to say fuck that kid because for real, fuck that kid. But the message that it portrayed at the end of the movie, because that happened, was too good to have happened any other way.
Well, I'm just saying pretty much snitch in the way because I know he did, but I'm saying like leading up to that point, he was all for it. But I think it's because
I don't even know about that.
I just feel like, or if he's not doing anything about it, but I feel like that was where he lived, and that's where he was working and stuff like that, and he knew what they can do to him. So I figured that's when he's like he got scared, and then went and ran to his masters, and it like saved him. But I liked at the end when it showed like he got so hurt and whatever, and he felt remorse for it, but he wound up fighting.
And then it showed a tear coming from the dude at the same plantation, the big dude that was the protection for the master. The tear from the dude coming in the Civil War was the big dude that was protecting the guy on the first plantation where he went to preach, and he's like, oh, my slaves are unruly, and like he's the only one I have for protection. That was him. And that was perfect because the kid and him were on that same plantation, so like it transcended like everywhere.
But then that one slave, the one that was in the house, the one that came to Nat saying, kill them and you're killing us all. You always have that one slave that is so scared. Because
but see, I still respected him a little bit because he first came in that hut and told them, what you're doing, make sure you're doing it with love. Yeah. And then Nat told him, but remember, God has wrath too. And the dude didn't go snitch when he knew what he was going to do.
No, so that was good.
He still has respect.
But I think that's one thing that's highlighted in a lot of slave movies, and one of those like uprising movies. There's always that one slave that's like has it good in the house and doesn't have any like.
But this one gets more respect than almost all of them because any other one
would snitch.
Would have snitched in a heartbeat. At least he trusted Nat enough to be following God. Yeah. That he let him go through with the plan, even though he knew it was gonna doom them all.
Yeah. Like, it was just one of those like movies. Like even at the end, like when they were about to hang him and stuff like that, it's like. Fuck all those people. Like, there's just so much hate, and it was for no reason. It was for no reason at all. Or if they had a reason, it was for no valid reason. And even at the end...
I disagree with that because their hate for him even before any of this happened was completely invalid. But now, I mean, if somebody killed somebody close to you and you hated them, even though they killed them for a good reason, is it not valid that you hate them?
Okay, it's valid that you hate them.
It's bullshit in the first place.
I think though, where I'm trying to lead to is when at the end is when they did the like how they do what happened afterwards and like how they said they dismembered him and all that shit. I'm like, that is just it's just pure hatred. But like
they made him into like furniture and accessories and stuff.
Yeah, and like oil or grease or something like that for like a wagon and stuff like that.
That's not gonna keep.
Well, yeah,
some of the
obviously.
other shit kept.
Yeah, I think they said like a fly or something like that.
I know they made a lamp out of his skin.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's like this is. It's hard to grasp because obviously I wasn't there, but just thinking about it, it's one of those. It's like you could see the strength of one man, and then what he had, and what the leadership that he had to bring forth more people that were like in the dark and they were scared, but they're like, you know what, this is for something greater, and things like that. So.
And what was so good is, yeah, people like movies like Django and stuff, where it's like slaves getting revenge on their masters and everybody that's done them wrong, and like all white people. It's not like that, which was so great about this movie because, yes, there was an aspect of that because they even said it when they were getting revenge, like, can I do this myself?
Yeah.
Like, he totally let him do that because he had the biggest gripe with his master. But it was totally for a just and holy cause, not just satisfying their revenge.
Yeah. Because
he realized what is going on is so completely fucked up that we need to be the ones to change it. And he was saying, like, there's been people talking all around, like, different plantations.
Yeah,
we're just waiting for somebody to stand up, and we're the people to stand up.
Like, especially that scene when they got to Jerusalem and all that stuff. It's like, you knew already what was going to happen, because then they kept, like, panning to the scene where they're, like, picking up the guns, but obviously it's not them. And then they already knew ahead, like, they're gonna come for this, and they put the rocks and shit in there. There's no fear about it. Like, they're just, like, going about it just to, like, show and make a stand, pretty much. And even though, like, none of them really survived, and, like, there's more people that got killed because of it, but it made an impact on people.
Well, like, that black dude, when they were all hiding from, like, the shots.
Yeah.
He smiles at him. Because he finally had peace.
Yeah.
He knew he was doing the right thing. I'm not going to say for once in his life, but he's doing the right thing. Like, his ultimate goal in life is finished. Yeah. And that's why he runs out there fearlessly, because he doesn't care.
He knows he's going to die, but he's like, it's fine.
I at least go out trying to not succeed, but continue in what we're doing.
Like, pretty much kind of like, I'm not going to let someone oppress me and keep me in the dark. That's what I kind of got from that. And like how they showed, like, even though Nat was able to escape for a time being, and then they show him like going back to his wife, but like he's hidden and he's just talking to her. It's kind of like the thing, even though he didn't say it, it's like she already knew like he was gonna die, because once they find him, he's dead. But he turns himself in, pretty much.
Yeah, that was so hard.
It's like one of those things, like, you know what? I did what I came here to do, and if I could have done more, I would have.
No, that's not why he turned himself in. He turned himself in because
more people are dying. Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
But I just feel like it's great that he didn't, like, just continue running and being selfish and, like, letting a whole bunch of more people, I want to say innocent people, die just because they're looking for him. And then just allowing whatever to be done to him, done with him. But he was like he had so much peace walking in there. Like, you know, he didn't want to fight back or anything like that. And I liked how they kept panning from like his dream and all that when he was like a kid. Yeah. That was good. So.
All right, we could go on for days. Let's rate it and give our final thoughts.
I mean, I'm confident, and I want to give this movie a 10. I believe this movie, like, for final thoughts, is really going to be one of those movies that eventually will hit certain schools. I'm not going to say all schools, but it's a movie that will be watched.
It should be. I don't know if it will, just because of some of the nature, and I don't know if schools will allow that shit.
But
certain schools that have progressive people with actual minds and they're woke might allow it, but if a dean catches word of that's going to be shown, he might shut it down. I don't think you could show this you know where.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm not trying to vouch for all professors and teachers, but I feel like
I'm not saying the teachers. The teachers will do it. I'm just saying the powers.
Yeah.
People that actually have power, if they hear.
Yeah, but I think this is like one of those movies that needs to be shown in schools because this is a person that's not always talked about.
Oh, this is a person that's tried to tried to write out of history. I
think there's only like a couple of times that I've actually heard it in school. And it was
just like Malcolm X is not taught in schools either because they don't want to teach people that. Why the fuck would they teach about an uprising?
No,
that's why Martin Luther King is the poster boy because he was peaceful.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Martin Luther King, just he's the go-to.
But I give this movie a 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I couldn't not give this movie a 10. I can't even remember any other movies that I couldn't find anything wrong with, and this is one of them. I'm not gonna say this is the best movie I've ever seen, but this is the most powerful movie I've ever seen. And this is by far the most I've ever cried in a movie and throughout different scenes. Usually, if it's a powerful movie, I said there's only been 4 movies, but it's like 1 to 2 scenes. This shit was like, I can't even remember how many scenes. But you need to watch this. You need to fucking watch this no matter what race you are. But specifically, if you're fucking white, watch this shit. I don't want to sound biased like this movie is the best thing ever. I really do think this movie is phenomenal, though. Almost perfect, if not perfect. But if you've ever fucked somebody that you really loved, yes, this is explicit critics, so you should expect something like this. If you've ever fucked somebody you really love and you think it's like the best sex you ever had, and somebody asks you after, like, oh, but why was it? And you can't really describe it. This is kind of like this movie because it was so emotionally powerful, it almost blinds you to anything wrong with it. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this movie, but if anybody came at me like, well, it's not a perfect movie. In my eyes, if I'm blinded by the emotion that this movie gave me, then so be it. But I don't think I am. I tried to look at it as objectively as I could have after seeing it. Therefore, it succeeded in a way that other movies haven't been able to. So regardless of if I overlooked a few things like, oh, he didn't shoot that shot as good as he could have, fuck all that shit. It still gets so many more points just for being able to do what most movies can't even dream to do, which is get you to think about something in your life differently, even reevaluate parts of your life. And this movie did that. So if you guys want to hate on that shit, then you can. But this is Explicit Critics. Catch you next time.
How the fuck are you gonna tell me Havoc is introducing Scott Summers to the fucking X-Men? Oh, they're not even into it. They're not even X-Men in this movie. It's like a first thing.
It's like, oh, the X-Men were dead, but we're gonna bring them back.
And Mystique can catch a dick. She did not. Yo, this gay motherfucker. Oh my god. Look at the dick. Yo. I haven't seen it. So, have you seen it? I have. Madam, I have.
And I liked it.
Anyway,
Why did you like it?
because, oh my god.
So nice.
Nice sample, nice beat, fucking.
It's well lyrical. It's really nice. The flow just matches.
It fits his voice. And it's a really good like message.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's what fit even better with the
sample.